The final score, Wrexham 6, Morecambe 0. 9, 9, 10, 7, 10, 22. Those are our numbers for today. They're the numbers of passes before each of our goals. I've been getting a bit confused lately by people saying that we're a long ball team. I like to think that maybe that might point out that we aren't. Anyway, enough of that. This was a performance to relish. I mean, absolutely magnificent from Wrexham. We really put on a show. Morecambe are no mugs. 9th in the table. They sides that break away quickly on you, and I did wonder whether their style of play was perfect for exploiting us, but no. 2 up after 7 minutes, complete control of the game, and some of the most wonderful passing passages, and some of the most wonderfully high quality performances. I mean, before I get into the nitty gritty, can I just say, the more high quality players you get into your team, the more chance there is that they're at a higher level and can just combine in a more impressive manner. I know that's obvious, but goodness me, we got a demo of that today. 3 changes in the Wrexham side. Andy Cannon came in midfield for James Jones. Ollie Palmer came in up front for Sam Dalby as well. And James McLean returned at left back in place of Jordan Davis. All 3 of the players who were left out would come on with 9 minutes left. Oh no, James Jones a little earlier, and make an impact. And Wrexham from the very start were looking fluent, were looking confident, and were looking to get things done. And after 5 minutes, Wrexham were ahead. A pattern which maybe was a little subtle that I had to look at it again to fully appreciate. George Evans, the fulcrum at the middle of Wrexham's midfield, a player who knows when to play the pass that speeds things up. And on this occasion, yeah, again, this was exactly what he did. Wrexham had good possession, like I said, 9 passes leading to the goal. Cannon made a nice little drift inside into the half space on the right. Evans spotted his movement, pinged a crisp pass to his feet, and Cannon then got things moving, switched it to the left-hand side. Mullin drifted in a lovely ball to the far post. Cannon attacked it, and the ball went in from close range. From Cannon's celebrations, you'd have thought that he'd scored. And in fact, yeah, I've got to admit that I was suckered by his celebrations too. And I thought he must have scored the way he ran away, but no. It was Joel Senior, the left back, who had a torrid time in the first half. He's normally a right back and usually impressive, I always think. But he had a rough time against Cannon and Ford, and then Cannon and Mendy particularly. And yeah, he was the one who got a header from close range, couldn't control it under intense pressure from Cannon, and just put it into the top corner of his own net. And 115 seconds after the ball went into the net, it was 2-0. Again, a nice, patient passing move, which was had pace added to it by George Evans with another sharp pass, which suddenly took out some Morecambe players and gave Wrexham an opportunity. The quality of Cannon's ball in this time from the right-hand side was absolutely exemplary. Fed it in on the half volley to Mullin, attacking the 6-yard box. Mullin not necessarily favoured to get there ahead of Rawson, but he did. And with the pace on the ball and the perfect landing of the ball right on the half volley, he was able to just hit it first time inside the right bottom corner. Not exactly into the bottom corner, but hit with such pace and, of course, hit first time. And the poor goalkeeper, Adam Smith, lunging down. He just couldn't do anything about it, really. It went underneath his hand, and Wrexham were 2 goals up. Now, to be fair to Morecambe, they managed to gain some equilibrium then, because there was a threat that everything might just fall in on them. Much until about the 35th minute when Wrexham got the third, Morecambe probably had a fair amount more of the game. Didn't really threaten much, in all honesty. They did have one early opportunity, a long kick by Smith. Evans and then O'Connor both failed to properly deal with it, and the ball fell to Mellon, who had a powerful snapshot from the edge of the box, but it was always going wide of the right post. And they had another opportunity from a set piece, a corner, which Rawson, who was good in the air at both ends, headed towards goal. It looked to take a slight deflection, but luckily, I think for Wrexham, it took a bit the deflection, if it was one, took the pace off it, and Okonkwo was able to smother it in a crowded goalmouth. Wrexham, though, did suffer a real blow in the 27th minute when Anthony Ford pulled up. It looked to be his hamstring that was getting treated, and a real shame. Ford, such a good quality player, and he'd made a bright start, but his season's being messed around with by injury. He had to go off. Jacob Mendy came on again on his wrong side. Him against Senior, two wing-backs on the wrong side of the pitch. There was a decisive winner. Mendy put in a remarkable performance. It's quite rare you see a substitute have quite such a sustained impact. He scored in the 35th minute, and that was another nice move, which ended with Cannon feeding the ball out to Mendy on the right. He cut in onto his more favoured left foot. Senior tried to track him, but was clearly uncomfortable, and at one point was so bamboozled by Mendy that he turned his back on him and then span back round again. He lunged in to try and make a block. Mendy skipped wider of him and drilled the ball into the roof of the net. Fabulous finish, an excellent goal by Mendy. And Wrexham really looked well on top at that point. In the 42nd minute, there was a heck of a scramble. Firstly, Palmer did ever so well, 30 yards out, to somehow manage to get through two challenges. Drove in a shot, which was blocked. It spanned to Mendy, who drove in a shot, which was blocked. Oh, and Palmer's shot, I think, blocked by Mullin, actually. And it spanned to Cannon in space on the right-hand side of the penalty area. He drilled it into the goal mouth, but it was shoved behind by Bordeaux for a corner. And then from that corner, McLean swept the ball in beyond the far post. Lee got up well, but a defender backed into him, and Lee couldn't quite control his header and put it wide from 6 yards out. Then Wrexham again with another wonderful move. This time, glorious technique. O'Connor with an excellent switch from deep in his own half, picking out Mendy perfectly. Mendy with a great cushioned volley to feed it into the path of Cannon, and Smith came off his line very quickly, just about beat Cannon to it. And then the last minute of the half, another opportunity, a good opportunity, this one. Lee getting the ball on the left corner of the box. Lovely little drag back, beat two men. Drove inside, typically, and on his right foot hit a fine shot inside the far post. Smith got down really well. Good save by Smith. Palmer, though, was quick to react, was first in the rebound, pulled it back for Cannon, who 10 yards out of the clear sight of goal, but he skied it. Real frustration for Wrexham. But not that much, obviously. 3-0 up and looking very comfortable. Morecambe weren't. They switched to three at the back at half-time and pushed Senior over to the more comfortable side. And it did have a couple of moments, especially early on. Connolly sweeping the ball into the box. Mellon getting up, but couldn't properly get a contact on his shot. Okonkwo came across and smothered it well. And then it was Wrexham back on the front foot. Mullin cutting inside from the left, beating two, hitting a shot which took a deflection. Brilliant save by Smith low down to his left. And then a shout for a penalty against Wrexham. A ball played in to the box, headed back by Rawson. Both centre-backs up for a set piece. Bordeaux, the other centre-back, headed it against his marker. Tozer definitely hit his arm, no question, his left arm. Tozer was so close to him, I really don't think the referee could give that. But referees, they give with one hand, they take away with the other, don't they? Because Wrexham then broke spectacularly. It was a 2-on-2 break. Mullin doing brilliantly to carry the ball forwards. Defender managed to lunge in and make a desperate tackle and put it out for a throw. And Mullin, quick thinking, grabbed the ball, threw it straight into Cannon. Now there was a 3-on-3 break. And annoyingly, the referee stopped it because he wanted to buck one of the coaches on the Morecambe bench. I mean, let Wrexham see what happens with a 3-on-3 and then buck him. It doesn't seem that extreme an idea. But yeah, Wrexham, that opportunity was gone. But as we approached the halfway point in the second half, Wrexham did eventually make it 4. Again, a lovely, crisp passage of passing. Lee cutting in from the left-hand side, feeding Mullin. Mullin on the edge of the box, had Palmer back to goal, pinning Rawson. He hit a quite fast pass to Palmer, who did well, really, to control the rebound and knock it back into Mullin's path. And Mullin, oh my goodness me, just hit the most glorious snapshot. Again, under the keeper. Didn't find the corners, but hitting it so early before the keeper could set himself and with real power. And by the time the keeper reacted, the ball was in the net. Great finish by Mullin. Mullen by this point was loving it. He was finding all these little angles for first-time passes. He was running around finding space in the channels, and as Morecambe tired, Mullen was really putting them to the sword. In the 72nd minute, Andy Cannon, who'd been excellent again, was taken off. James Jones came on, and Jones would pick up where Cannon had left off and was very, very busy. In the 77th minute, Wrexham got the 5th. Nice patient build-up, but the killer was Tom O'Connor just sweeping in the most beautiful pass into the path of Mullen. And then Mullen, well, what a way to cap a fine hat-trick. The absolute perfection in terms of the striker's technique. Swept in, perfect first touch with his right foot to knock it into his path and just take the centre back out the equation, and then a perfect left-footed finish across the keeper. Mullen technically magnificent. Has he been as technically good as he was for Wrexham on this occasion? That's a big ask, but wow, he was something else. O'Connor was immediately taken off as Wrexham just refreshed things a bit. Will Boyle came on for him. Jordan Davis came on for Elliot Lee, and Sam Dalby came on for Ollie Palmer, and the subs would immediately be getting involved. Dalby feeding a good cross in, and Mullen unmarked at the far post, but at full stretch, 6 yards out, couldn't control it properly, and it went over the bar. In the 89th minute, a cute little short corner by Mullen, who again was so alert and having won the corner, was quick to take it, rolled it down the goal line to McLean, who fed it back, and Mullen just feathered in the most delicious chip you've ever seen. It just floated. At first I thought, well, that's gone way over the bar, and then it just drifted and dropped and hit the bar and bounced back out into play. Glorious technique again. Mullen, after getting his hat-trick, was determined to get more. It was like he was thinking, I've missed the start of the season, I still want to be top scorer. So he was really looking to fill his boots on a day when he knew he was going well. In the first minute of added time, again, Mullen, free kick in the left channel, about 25 yards out, lifted it perfectly over the wall. Excellent save again by Smith, lunging to his right to bust the ball clear. In the 4th of 6 added minutes, Morecambe had a chance to get a consolation as Mayer put in a cross, Okonkwo attacking it, could only push it partially away, and a mishit shot fell kindly for Walker, who slashed at it. He was off balance, to be fair, about 10 yards out, put it way over the bar. Before Wrexham rounded it all off in the 6th minute of added time, indeed the last kick of the game, with a fine 22-pass move, which ended with, again, Evans just speeding things up a bit, feeding the ball forwards. Jones with a delightful back heel to Dalby on the edge of the area, and Jones, who had started the move, he played the first of the 22 passes back in his own penalty area, right on the goal line, covering the run, winning the ball back and feeding a back pass to Okonkwo, was there then to cap it all off by running onto it. One-on-one with the keeper, but didn't decide to take a touch, just smashed it first time from the edge of the box right into the top right corner. Of all the glorious goals we scored, that was probably the best. A fine finish, and Jones just stood there, arms out, to take the adulation. A brilliant marriage of his energy and his technique. So yeah, that was showtime. And the fact that Notts County, Mansfield and Stockport all lost just made it all the better, didn't it? Looking at the performances, Okonkwo had little to do. What he had to do, he did well. Nice to him to have a clean sheet, an easy one at that. He's maintained his record of having a clean sheet in exactly half his Wrexham games, which is quite something, of course. Going through the rest of the team at the back, I mean, the defenders were all good, were all solid. They passed the ball out well, O'Connor in particular. Hayden looked to drive play forwards, but they didn't have a whole lot of defending to that stretched them. Wrexham did very well defending the box and just forcing Morecambe to pass the ball around the outside. When they weren't able to hit blocks from their outlets, a big right-sided player on loan from Shrewsbury who liked to run directly, they didn't really have many ideas. So their plan was to break quickly using him or Mellon. And if they failed to do that, they tend to just bring the ball down and pass in front of us. They had some very neat one-touch movements, but they didn't get them anywhere. And Wrexham's defence, the three of them, were rock solid. Ford had a very lively start, getting high up the pitch, getting into causing problems for Morecambe's defence. His combination play of Cannon was a little interesting because I feel like Ford often with James Jones. I've often said I'm like James Jones is good at getting the ball quickly to Ford so Ford can do damage. Cannon's a very different type of player, of course, on the right side of midfield, and he wants to have a few touches, get his head up, look around, play little intricate stuff. And I think Ford found it a little difficult to adapt at first because he was making runs expecting a quick pass back to him, but Cannon instead would dwell on it. But they started to combine. I think Ford started to work it out, and we had some nice little interchanges down the right hand side until sadly Ford pulled his muscle. In his place, of course, came Mendy, and Mendy was superb, constantly getting at Morecambe's defence. A real threat, a glorious goal. He might have scored more than one as well. It was, again, maybe his best performance of Wrexham. Really impressive. McLean was good as well. McLean was all energy and drive, had a couple of shots from the edge of the area, put some good balls into the box as well. In midfield, like I said, Evans is the regulator. He's just so in control of play, and he just has a good picture of what's going on around him. He's able to play first-time passes without seeming to have to look around, and that speeds to move up. And then also, like I said, in 3 of the 6 goals, he was the player who turned patient possession into a goal, essentially by spotting the opportunity to feed the ball into a dangerous area. Alongside him, Elliot Lee. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Lee's performance. Wasn't able to really pose as much of a goal threat as he does sometimes. Well, the keeper had to 9 with one very good save in the first half, but he was scurrying about. And in the second half, when Morecambe was starting to tie and we were really turning it on, Lee was loving it down the left, beating players, playing neat little passes around the corner, looking threatening, teeing up chances. Oh, goodness me, if Stephen Fletcher had come on at that point, I think I might have exploded, because the one-touch stuff that Fletcher revels in was in full display. And then, of course, Cannon was excellent. And when he went off, I thought he was my pick for man of the match. Constant energy, driving into dangerous areas. A joy to watch. Lovely technique, great passing. And, yeah, he really showed his qualities. But then Mullins stepped up and finished off his hat-trick. And Mullins' performance all round was frightening. I mean, it's, like I said, technically magnificent. Passing, shooting, crossing, everything. He was brilliant. Palmer as well, put in a good shift as Mullins' support man, battled well with the centre-backs. And then when Dalby came on for Palmer, Dalby was quickly getting involved, typically in those little one-pass build-ups down the right channel, culminating in the goal. James Jones, massive credit to him as well, made a big impact in the 20 minutes that he was given. John Davis getting involved in a few different moves. It was great. It was brilliant. It was fantastic. What a day to be a Wrexham fan. Happy days. With a final score of Wrexham 6. Yeah, 6. Morecambe 0. Oh, by the way, Mullin now level with Dixon McNeil on goals scored for Wrexham. And only Morel, Bennett and Bamford are ahead of him with hat-tricks. He's got 5 hat-tricks for us already. Phew-wee. Yeah, so the final score of Wrexham 6, Morecambe 0. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.